I think there are two doctrines relevant to putting off the old self, although they back into everything in the gospel. One is the recurring emphasis that you find particularly, but not exclusively, in Paul on the believer's union with Christ. Whenever he returns to that theme of put off and put on, in any context really, it's almost visibly set within his emphasis on the Christian believer as united to Christ in his death and resurrection, in Romans 6, in Ephesians 4, and in Colossians 3, actually, his death, burial, resurrection, ascension, session, and coming again. And so the putting off of the old and the putting on of the new is related to our union with him in his death, which is as the Westminster Confession says, provides the virtue or the power for mortification, and in his resurrection, which provides the virtue or power for the life of the resurrection. And the other doctrinal emphasis, or perhaps pattern would be better, in the Bible, and again dominantly in Paul, is the notion of the relationship between the indicative and the imperative. That all the imperatives of the gospel, put off, put on, are prior founded in the indicative of the gospel. That you're a new man in Christ, a new woman in Christ. And even that goes back, I think, to Paul's notion, for example, in Romans 5:12-21, of the contrast between being in Christ and being in Adam. But that pattern, I think, is absolutely fundamental to the putting off and putting on. The other thing I think is kind of important is that there can be no putting off without putting on, and no putting on without putting off.